Welcome, English learners, to Master English Talks, your go-to source for unlocking English mastery and personal growth. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that might seem counterintuitive, perhaps even a little controversial, but one that holds an extraordinary, almost revolutionary power. It's an advanced listening method that profoundly shifted my own brain and transformed my approach to language learning. Prepare yourselves, because what I'm about to tell you could completely overturn everything you thought you knew about improving your English listening skills. We're talking about something deceptively simple, yet monumentally impactful. Do not turn off the subtitles. The advanced listening method that changed my brain. For far too long, a deeply ingrained myth has permeated the world of English language learning. It's the belief that using subtitles, particularly English subtitles, is a crutch, a sign of weakness, or a shortcut that ultimately hinders true listening comprehension. You might have heard it from teachers, fellow students, or perhaps even whispered it to yourself. Real listening means no subtitles. The idea is that if you truly want to train your ear, you must plunge into the deep end, forcing your brain to decode sounds without any visual safety net. This mindset, while seemingly logical, often leads to frustration, burnout, and slow, painful progress. Many learners diligently force themselves to listen to native content without subtitles, hoping for a breakthrough, only to find themselves lost, overwhelmed, and ultimately understanding very little. They end up feeling discouraged, convinced they lack the talent for listening, when in reality, they're simply using a suboptimal, even counterproductive strategy. But what if I told you that this widely accepted wisdom is not just incomplete, but fundamentally flawed for advanced learners? What if the very tool you've been conditioned to avoid is, in fact, your most potent weapon in mastering listening, unlocking deeper comprehension, and even rewiring your brain for more efficient language processing? I'm here today to challenge that conventional wisdom, to shatter the misconception, and to reveal a perspective that can fundamentally alter your English learning journey. Subtitles, when wielded strategically and consciously, are not a crutch. They are a powerful, sophisticated lever that helps your brain absorb and process information more deeply, more effectively, and at a speed you might not have thought possible. They can elevate your listening comprehension, sharpen your vocabulary acquisition, and even enhance your critical thinking in a foreign language. Let's visualize this. Imagine your brain trying to build a bridge across a turbulent river. On one side are the unfamiliar, rapid-fire sounds of spoken English. On the other side is meaning, understanding, and knowledge. Without subtitles, your brain is trying to construct this bridge in real time, blindfolded, with only auditory cues to guide it. It's struggling to distinguish individual words from a continuous stream of sound, to identify vocabulary it might recognize in print but not orally, and to piece together grammar and syntax into coherent thought, all at the lightning-fast pace of native speech. This is an immense cognitive load, an overwhelming task, especially when you're dealing with accents, idiomatic expressions, rapid speech, or background noise. Your brain spends so much energy just trying to decode the raw sound data that there's little left for true comprehension, analysis, or retention. This is where subtitles step in, not as a shortcut to avoid the work, but as a critical scaffolding, a visible blueprint for your brain. Think of them as that crucial bridge, or perhaps more accurately, the illuminated guide rails on the bridge. They provide a synchronized visual representation of the auditory information your ears are receiving. This simultaneous input, what you hear and what you read, creates a powerful, dual sensory experience that fundamentally changes how your brain processes the language. Instead of struggling to decipher ambiguous sounds, your eyes provide instant confirmation of the exact words being spoken. This dramatically reduces the initial cognitive burden. Your brain no longer has to guess if that indistinct sound was can or can't, there or there, peace or peace. It sees the word, connects it to the sound, and immediately forms a stronger, clearer association. This simultaneous processing is not a bypass, it's an enhancement. It allows your brain to forge stronger neural connections between the phonological form, the sound, and the orthographic form, the written word. For many words in English, especially those with non-phonetic spellings or silent letters, this visual confirmation is invaluable. Consider words like night, subtle, aisle, or schedule, with its varied pronunciations. Without subtitles, you might recognize the written word, but struggle to map it to its spoken counterpart, or vice versa. Subtitles bridge this gap, allowing you to see what you're hearing, thereby accelerating your recognition of words in both contexts. This isn't just about vocabulary, it's about rapid word identification, which is a cornerstone of fluid comprehension. Furthermore, subtitles become an indispensable companion when you encounter the notoriously tricky elements of English: slang, idioms, phrasal verbs, and cultural references. Imagine hearing kick the bucket or raining cats and dogs without any visual aid. Your brain would likely be stumped, trying to derive literal meaning from the individual words. But with the subtitle, kick the bucket, you immediately have the written form to look up, to understand its idiomatic meaning, and crucially, to link that meaning directly to the sound you just heard. This eliminates ambiguity and provides context in real time. It's a dynamic feedback loop that constantly reinforces learning, turning potential moments of confusion into opportunities for profound understanding. You're not just passively consuming content, you're actively decoding it with an integrated, multisensory approach. The strategic use of subtitles transforms listening from a guessing game into a precise, targeted learning experience. It empowers you to move beyond superficial understanding to a deeper level of engagement with the language. It allows you to grasp nuances in pronunciation, to notice how native speakers link words together known as connected speech, how they reduce unstressed syllables, and how intonation conveys meaning. These are the subtle yet critical elements that often elude learners who rely solely on auditory input, leading to a fragmented understanding. With subtitles, these linguistic phenomena become visible, allowing your brain to consciously register and internalize them. This isn't just about getting the gist, it's about getting the details, the building blocks of true fluency. So, if you've ever felt stuck in your English listening journey, if you've been advised to just listen more without seeing significant improvement, or if you've been secretly struggling with the guilt of using subtitles, then know this: you're on the cusp of a revelation. This isn't about being lazy, it's about being smart. It's about leveraging a powerful tool to hack your brain's language acquisition process. It's about creating a rich, multimodal learning environment that accelerates comprehension and retention. We are not just talking about using subtitles as a temporary aid. We are talking about integrating them into an advanced, conscious, and highly effective listening methodology that truly changes your brain's capacity for language. It's a method that shifts you from simply hearing sounds to deeply understanding meaning, from passively absorbing to actively acquiring. It's a method that promises to not only boost your English listening skills, but also fundamentally reshape your approach to learning itself. The conventional wisdom encourages you to strip away all visual support, believing that struggling in the dark builds resilience. But I propose a different path, one illuminated by purpose and supported by strategic tools. This path doesn't make learning easier in a cheat sense. It makes it more effective by optimizing how your brain processes information. It's about moving from a state of constant, exhausting deciphering to a state of engaged, comprehensive understanding. This transformation is not just a marginal improvement, it is a quantum leap in your language learning journey. And it all begins with a simple yet profound choice. Do not turn off those subtitles, because when used correctly, they are not a barrier to fluency, but the very key to unlocking it. They are the advanced listening method that has not only changed my brain, but can change yours too. Now, are you ready to discover how to harness this power? Are you prepared to move beyond traditional, often ineffective listening practices and embrace a scientifically sound approach that will truly elevate your English? Now, if you're truly prepared to unlock your brain's full potential and transform your English learning journey, if you're ready to move beyond traditional, often ineffective listening practices and embrace a scientifically sound approach that will truly elevate your English, then listen closely. Because what I'm about to share isn't just a technique, it's a paradigm shift in how you interact with a new language. This is active and conscious listening, a three-step method that doesn't just improve your comprehension, it actively rewires your neural pathways, building a foundation of understanding so robust, so intuitive, that it feels like a native speaker's instinct. This method champions subtitles, not as a crutch for the weak, but as a powerful lever for the strategic learner, a sophisticated tool designed to optimize language acquisition at an unprecedented level. Many mistakenly believe that true listening involves purely auditory input, that the presence of text somehow dilutes the authenticity of the experience. They couldn't be more wrong. Think of learning to drive. Initially, you need a GPS, road signs, and instructor guidance. Gradually, those aids become integrated into your spatial memory and intuition. Subtitles serve a similar purpose in language learning. They are the critical mapping tool for your brain, connecting the abstract world of sound to the concrete reality of written words. This isn't cheating. It's smart learning, a way to bridge the formidable gap between unfamiliar phonetics and concrete meaning, especially for a language like English, with its often unpredictable spelling and pronunciation. This strategic approach ensures that every moment of your listening practice is maximally productive, propelling you towards fluency with incredible efficiency. Let's dive into the core of this transformative method. Step 1. Overall listening with target language subtitles. The initial immersion. This is where your journey begins. When you choose any English content, be it a gripping documentary, an insightful TED Talk, a captivating podcast that also offers a transcript, or even your favorite TV series, your first task is to engage with it. Full immersion, but with English subtitles activated. The goal here isn't to meticulously translate every single word, nor is it to test your existing knowledge. Instead, This initial pass is about getting the lay of the land, allowing your brain to acclimatize to the content's rhythm, the speaker's cadence, and the overall flow of ideas. It's about letting your eyes and ears work in concert, creating an immediate and undeniable link between the spoken word and its written form. Imagine a complex puzzle. Before you start placing pieces, you need to see the complete picture. Subtitles provide that invaluable blueprint. This simultaneous processing of auditory and visual information is profound. It significantly reduces the initial cognitive load that often overwhelms learners when faced with raw, untethered speech. Instead of frantically trying to decipher individual sounds and piece together meaning, your brain receives a direct visual confirmation of what it's hearing. This synergy creates stronger, more resilient neural connections. You're not just hearing a sound, you're seeing the word, its spelling, its context. This simultaneous input helps your brain to quickly identify word boundaries, recognize common phrases, and begin to internalize sentence structures, even if you don't consciously understand every single element. It builds a robust mental database of sound-to-text correspondences, which is absolutely critical for rapid word recognition later on. For instance, watching a news report with English subtitles allows you to follow complex narratives, grasp key vocabulary and context, and absorb the nuances of formal English, all while reinforcing the connection between the sounds you perceive and the words they represent. This foundational step is about building comfort, familiarity, and a preliminary understanding, laying the groundwork for deeper analytical engagement. Step 2. Deep analysis. Pause. Read. Understand. This is where passive reception gives way to active, surgical engagement. This is the crucial pivot point where you transform mere exposure into genuine learning. As you progress through your chosen content from step 1, whenever you encounter a word, a phrase, an idiom, or an entire sentence that feels elusive, even with the subtitles present, you hit pause. This isn't a moment of defeat, it's an opportunity for profound growth. Stop the video. Reread the subtitle carefully. Don't rush. This is your chance to dissect the language. If a word is unfamiliar, this is your cue to look it up immediately, understanding its precise meaning in that specific context. Pay attention to its synonyms, antonyms, and common collocations. But don't stop there. Go beyond just definition. Notice the surrounding words, the grammatical structure, how the speaker emphasizes certain syllables, or how sounds are linked together. Perhaps it's a tricky phrasal verb, a subtle idiom, or a word with multiple meanings depending on the context. This pause and research moment allows you to connect the dots in a way that passive listening never could. Once you've grasped the meaning, rewind that specific section just a few seconds and listen again, and again, and again. Play it back 3, 5, even 10 times if necessary. Focus intently on how the speaker articulates that newfound word or phrase. How do they stress it? How does it blend with the preceding and following words? This repetitive, focused listening, armed with your newfound understanding, allows your brain to forge incredibly strong, precise connections between the sound, the written form, and the meaning. You're not just learning vocabulary, you're internalizing the very mechanics of spoken English. This active dissection makes the learning indelible, embedding the language deep within your cognitive framework. It's an exercise in true comprehension, fostering a deeper appreciation for the intricacies of English and accelerating your ability to decode complex speech in real time. Step 3. Repetitive listening without subtitles. Consolidation and verification. After you've meticulously worked through your content, perhaps an entire video or a significant segment, pausing, analyzing, and re listening as per step 2, now comes the ultimate test and the powerful consolidation phase. This is where you remove the training wheels. Go back to the beginning of the entire piece or the section you've just analyzed and play it through again, this time with the subtitles decisively turned off. The goal here is simple yet profoundly impactful: to verify and solidify your newfound listening comprehension without any visual aid whatsoever. You will be astonished. You'll discover that what was once a confusing jumble of sounds, or a conversation you could only follow by reading, has now become remarkably clear. Your brain, having been systematically trained through the first 2 steps, will begin to effortlessly connect the auditory input directly to the meaning, bypassing the conscious need for the written word. This isn't just improved comprehension, it's a fundamental shift in how your brain processes language. You are no longer reading to understand what you hear. You are actively listening to understand. The neural pathways you've painstakingly built will now allow for much faster, more automatic recognition. If you still find certain parts challenging without subtitles, don't be discouraged. That simply means those specific segments require further attention. Repeat the cycle. Go back to step 2 for those problematic areas, analyze them again with subtitles, and then return to step 3. The more you repeat this final step, the stronger those connections become, until understanding becomes second nature. This phase transforms theoretical knowledge into practical, instinctive comprehension, truly changing how your brain processes and understands spoken English. The more you repeat this final step, the stronger those connections become, until understanding becomes second nature. This phase transforms theoretical knowledge into practical, instinctive comprehension, truly changing how your brain processes and understands spoken English. You see, what we are doing here is more than just improving your listening skills. We are actively rewiring your brain. We're building robust neural pathways that bypass the cumbersome process of conscious translation, moving you towards a state where English sounds are immediately mapped to their meaning. It's akin to learning to ride a bicycle. Initially, every movement is conscious, deliberate, and often awkward. You fall, you adjust, you analyze. But with practice, those movements become fluid, unconscious, instinctive. You simply ride. This advanced listening method takes your brain from painstakingly decoding every spoken word to effortlessly comprehending entire ideas, much like a native speaker. This synergy of auditory and visual input is precisely why this method is so profoundly superior to traditional approaches. Think about it. When you solely listen without subtitles, especially as an intermediate learner, your brain is under immense cognitive strain. It's trying to simultaneously distinguish unfamiliar sounds, identify individual words, recall their definitions, parse complex grammatical structures, and piece together the overall meaning, all in real time. This is an incredibly challenging, often frustrating, and frequently ineffective process that can lead to burnout. Subtitles act as a direct blueprint for the sound, significantly reducing that initial cognitive burden. They free up mental resources, allowing your brain to focus on deeper processing, on connecting the sound to the exact written form, and thereby solidifying the link between the auditory and semantic parts of your brain. It's like having a guide for a complex maze. You're still navigating, but you're far less likely to get lost, and you learn the layout much faster. Now, I know what many of you might be thinking, but isn't using subtitles cheating? This is a common misconception, deeply ingrained in how many of us were taught language. We've been told that true mastery means no aids, no crutches, but I'm here to challenge that notion fundamentally. Frame subtitles not as a crutch, but as a sophisticated tool, a strategic advantage in your learning arsenal. Consider it this way. When a scientist uses a powerful microscope to examine cells invisible to the naked eye, are they cheating at science? No, they are leveraging technology to gain deeper insight and accelerate discovery. Subtitles are your linguistic microscope. They allow you to perceive details in spoken English, the subtle nuances of pronunciation, the rapid flow of connected speech, the precise wording of idioms that would otherwise remain obscure. The goal here isn't just to understand with subtitles, it's to meticulously build the internal capacity to understand without them, much faster and more effectively than going cold turkey from the start. They are the training wheels that empower you to ride solo with confidence. One of the most immediate and profound benefits of this method is the supercharged acquisition of vocabulary and grammar, all within authentic context. Unlike rote memorization of word lists or isolated grammar rules, this approach embeds new language organically. You're not just seeing a word, you're seeing it used by a native speaker, hearing it pronounced with its natural rhythm and stress, and instantly understanding its precise nuance within a complete sentence. This multisensory input creates far richer and more durable memory traces. Grammar patterns, too, become intuitive. Instead of struggling to consciously apply rules, you implicitly absorb how native speakers construct sentences, how tenses flow, how prepositions connect ideas. Your brain begins to recognize these patterns naturally, making correct usage feel instinctive rather than a mental computation. It's the difference between studying a map and actually traversing the terrain. One gives you theoretical knowledge, the other provides practical, lived experience. Beyond just words and grammar, this method is a game changer for mastering pronunciation and intonation, aspects often neglected but crucial for both understanding and being understood. How many times have you heard a word and not recognized it, only to see it written and realize you knew it all along? Subtitles bridge this gap. They reveal the intricate connection between the written word and its actual sound in fast, natural speech. You'll begin to notice phenomena like connected speech, where words blend together, e.g., gonna for going to, or reductions, where syllables are shortened. You'll identify the subtle stress patterns, the melodic rises and falls of intonation that convey meaning and emotion. This direct feedback loop, hearing the sound, seeing its written form, grasping its meaning, fundamentally trains your ear and mouth, helping you to not only comprehend native speakers better, but also to refine your own speaking patterns, sounding more natural and fluent. Crucially, this advanced listening approach cultivates deep comprehension and critical thinking skills that transcend mere language acquisition. When the brain is no longer overwhelmed by the sheer effort of decoding, its higher-level cognitive functions are freed up to engage with the actual message. This is where advanced learners truly thrive. They can move beyond simply understanding the words to analyzing arguments, appreciating complex rhetorical devices, identifying underlying themes, and forming sophisticated opinions. all directly in English. The mental bandwidth previously consumed by basic recognition is now available for genuine intellectual engagement. It shifts your focus from the foundational question of what are they saying to the more profound inquiry of what does this mean? How does it relate to my existing knowledge? And what are its implications? It transforms you from a passive listener into an active, analytical participant in the discourse. And the beauty of this method extends far beyond just English language learning. This strategic approach to consuming content with subtitles is an incredibly powerful tool for anyone seeking to acquire specialized knowledge in any complex subject, delivered in a foreign language. Imagine watching a detailed lecture on quantum physics, a philosophical debate, or a cutting edge medical seminar. Without subtitles, much of the nuanced, domain specific terminology would be lost, hindering your ability to grasp complex concepts. But with them, you gain immediate access to an entire world of advanced information, breaking down formidable language barriers that might otherwise prevent you from accessing critical global knowledge. It empowers you to expand your intellectual horizons, engage with leading thinkers, and assimilate specialized expertise from around the world, making you a more knowledgeable and well-rounded individual. Ultimately, the long-term impact of embracing this do not turn off the subtitles philosophy is nothing short of transformative. It's not merely about acquiring a skill, it's about fostering a completely new, more effective way of interacting with language and information. It encourages you to abandon the performance-oriented mindset, the constant self-assessment of, can I understand this without help? And adopt a learning-oriented mindset focused on, how can I best facilitate my brain's natural capacity to learn and grow? This strategic investment in your cognitive infrastructure, this deliberate effort to build bridges between the auditory and visual, will pay dividends far beyond the English classroom. It's about empowering yourself, accelerating your learning curve, and unlocking your full potential. So, let's reiterate this powerful truth. Far from being a crutch or a sign of weakness, strategically utilizing subtitles is a scientific, proactive, and incredibly intelligent learning strategy. It is a powerful engine for optimizing your language acquisition and knowledge absorption process, fundamentally altering the way your brain interprets and engages with the world. It builds those critical neural connections, strengthens your understanding, and equips you with the tools to master not just a language, but the complex ideas conveyed within it. It is a powerful engine for optimizing your language acquisition and knowledge absorption process, fundamentally altering the way your brain interprets and engages with the world. It builds those critical neural connections, strengthens your understanding, and equips you with the tools to master not just a language, but the complex ideas conveyed within it. But how, you might wonder, does something as seemingly simple as text on a screen achieve such a profound transformation? The secret lies in the incredible adaptability of your brain, a phenomenon scientists call neuroplasticity. When you process information through two distinct sensory channels simultaneously, hearing the words and seeing them written, you create a powerful, multimodal learning experience. Your brain isn't just passively receiving sound waves, it's actively matching those waves to visual representations, forging a direct, robust link between the spoken and written forms. This dual coding approach, dramatically enhances memory retention and deepens comprehension, far beyond what either method could achieve alone. It's like building a bridge with two strong anchors instead of one, making it incredibly stable and resilient. Think about it this way: your brain is a supercomputer, constantly trying to make sense of incoming data. In a new language, especially with unfamiliar accents or rapid speech, the auditory input can often feel like a jumbled stream of sounds. This creates a significant cognitive load, forcing your brain to work overtime just to decode individual words, let alone grasp the overarching meaning. Subtitles act as an immediate, real-time decoder ring. They alleviate that initial cognitive burden, allowing your brain to shift its focus from merely recognizing sounds to truly understanding the meaning of the words in context. This reduction in stress frees up mental resources, enabling deeper engagement with the content. You're no longer fighting to keep up. You're processing, analyzing, and absorbing. This immediate visual confirmation is revolutionary. It's the difference between guessing what a speaker said and knowing what they said. Imagine a scenario where you hear a new idiom, say, "It's raining cats and dogs." Without subtitles, you might pause, rewind, and still struggle to piece together the meaning from the individual words. But with the phrase, "It's raining cats and dogs," appearing on screen at the exact moment it's spoken, your brain instantly connects the sound to the visual representation. That connection creates an aha moment, cementing the idiom's form and meaning in your long-term memory. This isn't cheating. It's providing your brain with the precise data it needs to build a complete, accurate understanding of the linguistic puzzle. Furthermore, this method goes beyond mere vocabulary. It allows you to internalize the invisible architecture of spoken English. You begin to notice intonation patterns, the rhythm of speech, how words blend together in connected speech, and the subtle nuances of emphasis. When you see a question mark at the end of a sentence on screen, your brain actively searches for the rising intonation pattern in the audio. When you see a strong emphasis on a particular word, you register how the speaker's voice articulates that stress. This subtle yet profound synchronicity between sight and sound trains your ears to detect these critical elements, elements often missed when listening without the visual anchor. You're not just learning what words mean, you're learning how English is truly spoken. Now let's consider the truly advanced application of this method: mastering complex ideas. Many of us are consuming content not just for language learning, but for knowledge acquisition in specialized fields, be it astrophysics, economics, philosophy, or medicine. These fields are riddled with technical jargon, abstract concepts, and intricate arguments. Trying to absorb a complex TED Talk or a university lecture purely by ear in a non-native language is akin to climbing a mountain blindfolded. You might get the gist, but you'll inevitably miss critical details, logical leaps, and sophisticated terminology. Subtitles become your high-definition map, your climbing gear. They ensure you don't just hear the complex terminology, but see it, allowing you to pause, research, and truly internalize its meaning within the specific context of the lecture. This bridges the gap between language comprehension and intellectual comprehension. This strategic use of subtitles reduces anxiety, builds confidence, and fundamentally shifts your approach from passive consumption to active engagement. The fear of missing out, of not understanding, often paralyzes learners. Subtitles remove that fear, creating a safe, controlled environment where you can stretch your linguistic muscles without the constant pressure of perfect, instantaneous decoding. This newfound confidence encourages you to tackle more challenging content, exposing you to a richer vocabulary, more intricate grammatical structures, and a wider array of speaking styles. The more you engage, the more robust your neural networks become, accelerating your progress exponentially. You're not just absorbing English, you're building your capacity to think in English, to reason, to analyze, and to synthesize information with greater precision. The beauty of this approach is its transformative impact on your overall cognitive architecture. By consistently engaging your brain in this dual coding, active listening process, you're not merely improving your English skills, you're enhancing your capacity for critical thinking and analytical processing across the board. You learn to deconstruct complex information, identify key concepts, and connect disparate ideas, regardless of the language. This method cultivates a meticulousness in your learning, a habit of seeking clarity and depth that transcends linguistic barriers. It's an investment not just in your language proficiency, but in your intellectual agility and your ability to navigate the vast ocean of global knowledge. It truly unlocks a different dimension of understanding, moving you from merely hearing words to deeply comprehending the world those words describe. This is where the magic happens, where language acquisition becomes a gateway to intellectual empowerment. This isn't merely about vocabulary expansion or improved pronunciation, although those are undeniable benefits. What we're talking about here is a profound shift in how your brain engages with information, a paradigm alteration that accelerates not just your language proficiency, but your overall cognitive abilities. Think about it this way: your brain is an incredibly powerful processing unit, but like any sophisticated machine, it performs optimally when given clear, reinforced input. When you listen to English without subtitles, especially as an intermediate learner or even an advanced one, grappling with a new, complex topic, your brain is working overtime to decode a stream of transient sounds, trying to match them to known words, infer meaning from context, and simultaneously construct a coherent understanding. This process is exhausting and often leaves gaps, forcing your brain to fill in blanks, which can lead to misinterpretations or, more commonly, simply missing crucial details altogether. You're constantly playing catch up, and that hinders deep learning. Now, introduce subtitles into this equation and watch the transformation unfold. You're no longer just deciphering sounds, you're actively connecting the auditory experience with the visual representation of those exact words. This dual input approach, simultaneous processing through two distinct sensory channels, creates a far more robust and durable neural pathway. It's like having two independent verification systems working in perfect sync. Your ears pick up the rhythm, intonation, and subtle nuances of spoken English, while your eyes confirm the precise spelling, grammar, and even punctuation. This reinforcement is incredibly powerful. It reduces the cognitive load associated with initial decoding, freeing up mental resources for higher level thinking. Instead of struggling to identify individual words, your brain can now dedicate more energy to understanding the meaning, the implications, and the relationships between ideas. This is why it moves beyond mere listening comprehension and into true intellectual empowerment. You're not just absorbing language, you're absorbing knowledge, ideas, and perspectives with unprecedented clarity. Consider the immense benefit when tackling advanced subjects, a dense academic lecture, a philosophical debate, or a highly technical documentary. In such scenarios, the challenge isn't just the language, it's the complexity of the concepts themselves. Without subtitles, even fluent speakers can find themselves adrift, grasping at fragments of information, struggling to connect abstract ideas. But with the visual anchor of subtitles, every specialized term, every intricate explanation, every nuanced argument is laid bare. You see the exact wording of a definition, the precise formulation of a hypothesis, the subtle distinction between two related concepts. This allows your brain to pause, reflect, and integrate new information far more effectively. You move from passively receiving sound to actively scrutinizing text, allowing for a level of analytical engagement that simply isn't possible when your primary focus is on decoding spoken words alone. It's like having an immediate, personal transcript of reality, enabling instantaneous deep dives into challenging intellectual territory. This method transforms listening from a test of your comprehension into an opportunity for profound learning and critical analysis. When you can consistently and accurately understand every single word, you gain the capacity to dissect arguments, evaluate evidence, and form your own well-informed opinions. You can identify logical fallacies, appreciate rhetorical flourishes, and discern the subtle biases embedded within speech. This isn't just about understanding what someone says. It's about understanding how they say it, why they say it, and what impact that has. It sharpens your mind, enhancing your ability to process complex information in any language, not just English. The habit of precise comprehension cultivated through strategic subtitle use spills over into other areas of your intellectual life, making you a more astute listener and a more critical thinker overall. It cultivates an attention to detail that is invaluable in academic pursuits, professional environments, and even personal communication. Furthermore, this approach fundamentally changes your relationship with unfamiliar content. Many learners shy away from complex or fast-paced material because of the overwhelming fear of not understanding. Subtitles act as a safety net, an invitation to explore content that might otherwise be intimidating. They empower you to venture into new genres, tackle advanced documentaries, or engage with expert-level podcasts without the constant anxiety of getting lost. This expanded exposure is vital for genuine mastery. The more diverse and challenging content you consume, the richer your understanding of the language becomes, and the more robust your mental models of the world grow. It fosters a sense of intellectual courage, encouraging you to push beyond your comfort zone and continuously seek out knowledge, knowing that you have a powerful tool to ensure deep comprehension. This constant intellectual stimulation, fueled by accessible content, is a key driver of long-term cognitive development and linguistic fluency. Some still cling to the notion that subtitles are a crutch, a barrier to true fluency. But this perspective fundamentally misunderstands the purpose of deep learning. A crutch implies an inability to walk independently. Strategic subtitle use is more akin to a sophisticated magnifying glass for a scientist, or a high-resolution monitor for a designer. It's a tool that allows for enhanced precision and unprecedented detail in observation. Would you tell a surgeon to operate without their specialized instruments simply to prove they can? Of course not. Similarly, denying yourself the aid of subtitles, especially when engaging with complex or new material, is akin to choosing to learn with one hand tied behind your back. It might make the task harder, but it certainly doesn't make the learning deeper or more effective. True mastery isn't about struggling unnecessarily. It's about leveraging every available resource to achieve the deepest possible understanding and the most efficient acquisition of knowledge. It's about working smarter, not just harder. The psychological impact is also immense. Imagine the frustration of listening to an entire lecture, feeling like you only caught half of it, leaving you with a fuzzy, incomplete picture. Now contrast that with the satisfaction of finishing the same lecture, having understood virtually every word, thanks to the subtle but powerful assistance of subtitles. That feeling of accomplishment, of true comprehension, is a potent motivator. It builds confidence, reduces listening anxiety, and fosters a positive feedback loop that encourages more engagement with the language. This isn't just about passively receiving information, it's about actively mastering it, experiencing the joy of truly getting it. This positive reinforcement fuels your desire to learn more, to explore further, and to challenge yourself with even more complex material, ultimately transforming your English journey from a chore into an exciting intellectual adventure. This method, therefore, isn't just a listening technique. It's a cognitive strategy that reshapes how your brain processes and retains information. It builds an unparalleled bridge between sound and meaning, fortifying your neural networks with robust multisensory data. The result is a more resilient understanding, a more expansive vocabulary, and a more profound grasp of intricate concepts. It truly changes your brain by training it to seek depth, to demand clarity, and to integrate information across different modalities seamlessly. You move beyond surface level comprehension to a state of profound intellectual engagement, where language becomes transparent and the true richness of the content shines through. This is the advanced listening method that has profoundly transformed my own approach to learning, and it promises to do the same for yours, elevating your English skills and your intellectual capacity to new, remarkable heights. This journey towards truly deeper understanding is not just about mastering English, it's about mastering the very art of learning itself, unlocking an immense potential within you to profoundly connect with information on a level you never thought possible. For too long, the prevailing wisdom has suggested that using subtitles when practicing English listening is a crutch, a sign of weakness, or at best, a temporary aid for absolute beginners. We've been told that to truly hone your auditory comprehension, you must eventually shed the training wheels, turn off those helpful visual cues, and immerse yourself in the raw, unadulterated audio stream. This perspective, while intuitively appealing to many, is fundamentally flawed and, I would argue, actively detrimental to effective language acquisition. It's a belief system that frequently leaves learners frustrated, feeling inadequate, and making slower progress than they should. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? What if embracing subtitles, not eschewing them, is the secret weapon you've been overlooking, a powerful accelerator for your brain's language processing capabilities? When leveraged strategically, subtitles aren't a shortcut. They are a sophisticated, cognitive tool that can profoundly alter how your brain receives, processes, and ultimately internalizes linguistic information, leading to a much deeper level of comprehension and retention. This isn't merely about understanding more words. It's about transforming your entire approach to learning English and, indeed, to learning anything new by building incredibly robust neural connections. Consider subtitles as an essential bridge, meticulously constructed to connect the fleeting sounds you hear with the concrete words you read. In the challenging landscape of a new language like English, our brains constantly grapple with an overwhelming cognitive load. We're attempting to distinguish discrete sounds within a rapid vocal flow, segment that flow into individual words, and then rapidly assemble those words into meaningful ideas, all happening in real time. This is an extraordinarily demanding task, particularly when your ear is still developing its sensitivity to English phonology, rhythm, and stress patterns. Subtitles provide critical multimodal input, simultaneously engaging both your auditory and visual channels. This synchronous input dramatically reduces the initial cognitive burden. Your eyes see the exact words being uttered, instantly forging a powerful, unequivocal link between the sound of a word and its written form. This visual reinforcement is absolutely indispensable for cultivating rapid, automatic word recognition. Think about the myriad English words with notoriously irregular spellings, or those that sound vastly different from how they appear on paper. Thorough, kernel, epitome, rendezvous. Without the visual anchor of subtitles, these words can be maddeningly elusive, causing immediate comprehension breakdowns. Yet, when you see thorough as you hear it, that connection is immediately solidified in your mind. Subtitles act as your discerning guide through the perplexing complexities of English phonetics and orthography. Beyond individual words, they are invaluable for deciphering slang, idiomatic expressions, complex phrasal verbs, or subtle cultural nuances that would otherwise remain opaque. They offer immediate, unambiguous clarity, preventing moments of linguistic confusion from derailing your entire comprehension. This isn't a crutch. It's a strategic empowerment of your brain, enabling it to process complexity with greater efficiency and speed, accelerating your journey towards true English fluency and profound intellectual engagement. This potent synergy of sight and sound forms the very bedrock of the advanced listening method I'm about to unveil. Now, let's explore this transformative, active, and conscious listening method, a simple yet extraordinarily powerful three-step framework. Step 1. Overall listening with target language subtitles. Your first engagement with any English content, be it a captivating TED Talk, an illuminating documentary, an insightful podcast with a synchronized transcript, or even your favorite English language series, should begin with English subtitles activated. Crucially, we are talking about subtitles in the target language itself, not your native tongue. The primary objective of this initial pass is not painstaking word-forward translation or exhaustive dictionary lookups. Rather, it's about a holistic immersion experience. Allow your eyes and ears to collaborate seamlessly. Your brain will begin to forge incredibly strong connections between the auditory input and its corresponding visual representation. Focus on grasping the main ideas, becoming comfortable with the speaker's pace, intonation patterns, and the overall grammatical structure and flow of sentences. This simultaneous dual channel input creates robust neural pathways, allowing your brain to directly link spoken sounds to their written forms, bypassing the often frustrating guesswork involved with audio only listening. You are actively building a vital mental database where every sound has a clear visual anchor. For instance, imagine watching an enthralling historical documentary. As the narrator delves into intricate details, the English subtitles scroll along the bottom. You are not pausing, you are flowing with the narrative, absorbing the core message, identifying key terminology, and internalizing the natural rhythm and cadence of the language. This initial step significantly reduces anxiety, builds fundamental confidence, and primes your brain for the much deeper analytical work that follows. It provides a comprehensive blueprint, ensuring you're never truly lost, thereby paradoxically accelerating your progress towards deeper understanding. Step 2. Deep analysis. Pause, read, understand. This is where the profound brain rewiring truly takes hold, transforming passive listening into an active, deliberate, and deeply effective learning experience. After your initial overall listen, or even segment by segment if the material is particularly dense or challenging, you transition into the role of a meticulous investigator. When you encounter a word, a phrase, or an entire sentence that did not fully resonate with you, even with the benefit of subtitles, this is your explicit signal to halt the playback. Do not simply gloss over the incomprehensible segment. This moment is your prime opportunity to engage in genuine, deep learning. Carefully reread the subtitle perhaps multiple times. If an unfamiliar word appears, immediately consult a dictionary. Go beyond a surface level definition. Delve into its various meanings, synonyms, antonyms, and observe its usage in different contextual examples. Actively note any intriguing grammatical constructions or particularly eloquent expressions. This intentional engagement is absolutely crucial for robust retention. Following this meticulous analysis, and this is critical, rewind that specific audio segment and listen to it again and again, perhaps 5, 10, or even 20 times until clarity crystallizes. Focus intensely on the speaker's precise pronunciation of that word or phrase. Observe their stress patterns, how they link words together, and how their intonation conveys subtle meaning. This iterative cycle of seeing, reading, understanding, and then repeatedly re-listening with acute attention effectively imprints the information onto your long-term memory with unparalleled efficacy. This technique is remarkably potent for mastering the notoriously difficult aspects of English. The elusive idioms that defy literal translation, the often perplexing phrasal verbs, or polysemous words, whose meanings shift entirely with context. By methodically dissecting the content at this micro level, you are not merely acquiring new vocabulary. You are internalizing the exact way these linguistic units are employed in authentic, fluid speech. You are learning the inherent music and rhythm of the language, not just the isolated notes. This is far from rote memorization. It is contextual assimilation, a process of actively training your brain to recognize complex patterns, decode nuanced meanings, and construct a rich, living mental model of the English language in real-time application. This deep analytical phase ensures that every linguistic element, every word and phrase, becomes a genuinely understood and deeply integrated component of your expanding linguistic repertoire, meticulously preparing you for the ultimate test of pure auditory comprehension. And now, for the moment of truth, the culminating stage that truly solidifies your understanding and propels your listening skills into an entirely new dimension. Step 3. Listen repeatedly without subtitles to test and consolidate. This is where the magic truly happens, where your brain, now armed with contextual understanding and explicit vocabulary recognition from the previous steps, is challenged to perform independently. You have diligently laid the groundwork, meticulously deciphering the linguistic code with visual assistance, and now it's time to shed that support system, not as an act of deprivation, but as a deliberate and empowering graduation. Imagine you've just spent a significant amount of time with that challenging TED Talk, or that nuanced podcast episode, or a particularly dense documentary. You've gone through it with English subtitles, understanding the general flow, the speaker's cadence, and identifying key phrases. Then you've paused, rewound, and delved deep into those unfamiliar words and complex grammatical structures, creating a robust mental map of the content. Now, you press play again, but this time, the subtitles are gone. The screen is blank, offering only the raw auditory experience. What happens? You might be utterly astonished by how much more you comprehend. The words that once flew by in a confusing blur now start to coalesce into recognizable patterns. The sounds that were abstract noise begin to transform into meaningful language. You will start to hear the language in a way you couldn't before because your brain has already established those critical neural pathways, reinforced through the synchronized visual and auditory input. This isn't merely a passive re-listen, it's an active process of internal verification. Your brain is essentially performing a self-assessment, confirming its newly acquired understanding without the crutch of text. Each time you listen without subtitles after the analytical phase, you are strengthening those connections, making them more robust and readily accessible. You are moving beyond simply reading and hearing to genuinely understanding and intuiting. The initial struggle of discerning individual words from a stream of sound diminishes, replaced by a growing ability to grasp the overall meaning, the speaker's intent, and the subtle nuances of their delivery. This is the stage where fluency and comprehension begins to blossom, where you transition from decoding individual components to perceiving the language as a holistic, integrated system. Repetition here is not monotonous, it is profound. It's the deliberate practice that transforms fleeting recognition into lasting retention, bridging the gap between conscious effort and subconscious mastery. The power of this three-step method lies not just in its individual components, but in their synergistic interplay. It's a structured approach that respects the brain's natural learning mechanisms. By first providing simultaneous visual and auditory input, step 1, you reduce cognitive load and establish foundational connections. By then engaging in deep, analytical processing, step 2, you ensure profound understanding and contextual memory encoding. Finally, by removing the visual aid, step 3, you force the brain to rely solely on its auditory processing capabilities, consolidating learning and developing true, independent comprehension. This methodical progression is what distinguishes it from mere casual subtitle usage or the often frustrating sink or swim approach of solely listening without any support. Many people fear becoming dependent on subtitles, believing it hinders their progress. And yes, passive subtitle consumption without active engagement can indeed be counterproductive. But our method, Do not turn off the subtitles is fundamentally different. It uses subtitles as a strategic tool for accelerated learning, not as a permanent crutch. Think of it like a meticulous roadmap for an intricate journey. You wouldn't throw away the map just because you want to drive independently eventually. Instead, you'd use it to learn the terrain, identify landmarks, understand the routes, and only then, once you're confident, you'd navigate without it. Subtitles in this context are your advanced linguistic GPS, guiding you through unfamiliar territory, highlighting hidden turns, and clarifying complex intersections until you internalize the route. The goal isn't to rely on subtitles forever. It's to leverage them to reach a point where you don't need them anymore, or at least, you need them significantly less often. This method actively trains your brain to build the capacity for independent auditory comprehension rather than bypassing it. It's an investment in developing robust neural networks that can effortlessly process spoken English, leading to an almost subconscious understanding. As you consistently apply this method, you'll find that your brain becomes more efficient at pattern recognition, at predicting upcoming words, and at filling in any tiny gaps based on context. This predictive power is a hallmark of native-like comprehension and is precisely what this methodical use of subtitles helps cultivate. The benefits extend far beyond just improved listening. This active engagement with language through visual and auditory synchronization profoundly impacts your entire linguistic ecosystem. Your vocabulary expands not as isolated words, but as expressions deeply embedded in their natural context, making them easier to recall and use in your own speech. Your grammar improves organically because you are constantly exposed to correct sentence structures and idiomatic expressions in authentic communication. Your pronunciation naturally refines as you actively connect written words with their actual spoken sounds, noticing nuances in intonation, stress, and rhythm that you might otherwise miss. It's a holistic brain training exercise that elevates your overall English proficiency, making you a more confident speaker, a more astute reader, and a more effective communicator. Moreover, this advanced listening method isn't just about mastering English, it's about mastering learning itself. The cognitive benefits are profound. By consistently engaging your brain in this multisensory processing, you enhance your attention span, sharpen your focus, and improve your working memory. You are actively practicing metacognition, the awareness and understanding of your own thought processes. You learn how you learn best, how to break down complex information, and how to build understanding from foundational elements. These are transferable skills that empower you to tackle any new subject, any complex lecture, or any intricate problem, regardless of the language. This structured approach to comprehension becomes a template for acquiring new knowledge, making you a more effective and adaptable learner in all aspects of your life. It transforms the act of listening from a passive reception of sound into an active, analytical, and ultimately empowering cognitive exercise. It changes your brain, making it a more sophisticated instrument for absorbing, processing, and understanding the world around you, one English word at a time. This deliberate, advanced approach to learning language, fueled by the strategic use of subtitles, is the catalyst for genuine cognitive transformation. The true power, the almost conspiratorial secret behind "do not turn off the subtitles" lies in its ability to literally reshape your neural architecture. It's not just about learning vocabulary, It's about fundamentally altering the way your brain processes auditory and visual information, forging new pathways that make you a more adept, efficient learner, not just in English, but across all domains. Think of your brain as a supercomputer. When you learn English the traditional way, relying solely on listening, it's like trying to run complex software on a system with insufficient RAM. There's a bottleneck, a constant struggle to keep up. But when you introduce subtitles strategically, you're essentially upgrading your system, installing a powerful coprocessor that handles a crucial part of the load, freeing up other resources for deeper comprehension. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a neurologically sound principle. Our brains are wired for multimodal processing. When you hear a word, your auditory cortex is engaged. When you see that same word in print, your visual cortex lights up. But when you hear and see the word simultaneously, especially in a new language, something extraordinary happens. Your brain doesn't just activate two separate areas, it creates a robust, synchronized connection between them. It's a dynamic interplay, a dance between sound and sight that solidifies the meaning, the pronunciation, and the spelling into a cohesive, indelible unit. This dual input method reduces cognitive ambiguity. Instead of guessing at what you heard or struggling to parse a garbled sound stream, the visual cue of the subtitle provides instantaneous confirmation. It bridges the gap between the elusive sounds of spoken English and the concrete representation of written words. This immediate feedback loop is critical for accelerating recognition and retention. Many dismiss subtitles as a crutch, an aid that fosters dependence. But I urge you to reconsider this perspective. A crutch implies a weakness that must eventually be shed to achieve true independence. However, the strategic use of subtitles is less like a crutch and more like advanced training wheels for a high-performance bicycle, or the robust scaffolding around a complex architectural marvel. These are temporary, yet essential structures that enable you to build strength, develop balance, and understand the intricate mechanics before you tackle the challenge unaided. You wouldn't expect a beginner cyclist to immediately master a two-wheeler without any support. Similarly, why would we expect our brains, grappling with the complexities of a new phonetic system and unfamiliar syntax, to instantly decipher rapid-fire native speech without a visual anchor? It's not about being weak, it's about being smart and efficient in your learning process. The cognitive benefits extend far beyond merely understanding words. This method supercharges your attention span. You are actively engaged, tracking both the auditory input and the visual text, which demands a heightened level of focus. This sustained engagement trains your brain to filter out distractions and home in on the relevant information. Furthermore, it significantly enhances your working memory. Holding both the spoken word and its written counterpart in your mind simultaneously, connecting them, and then making meaning out of them is an intense workout for this crucial cognitive faculty. This repeated exercise strengthens your brain's capacity to juggle multiple pieces of information at once, a skill invaluable in countless aspects of life, from problem solving to critical decision making. Over time, you'll notice an almost imperceptible acceleration in your overall information processing speed. Your brain becomes faster at linking disparate pieces of data, making connections, and inferring meaning, even when the data is incomplete or ambiguous. The three-step method I outlined earlier, starting with total comprehension with English subtitles, moving to deep analysis where you pause, research, and repeat, and finally, reviewing without subtitles, is precisely designed to exploit these neurocognitive mechanisms. Each step builds upon the last, progressively challenging your brain in a structured manner. The initial phase with subtitles on helps you create those strong audiovisual links. The deep analysis phase forces conscious processing and meaning making, etching new vocabulary and grammatical structures into your long-term memory. And the final, subtitle-free review phase, it's not about proving you don't need them. It's about activating those newly formed, strengthened neural pathways without the explicit visual cue, compelling your brain to retrieve and process information purely from auditory input. This intentional cyclical engagement is what drives genuine mastery, moving you from passive consumption to active understanding. From a neurological standpoint, what's happening is a beautiful ballet of brain activity. When you consistently pair auditory input with its written form, you are actively strengthening the white matter pathways, connecting your temporal lobe responsible for auditory processing and your occipital lobe responsible for visual processing, as well as linking these to language centers in the frontal and parietal lobes. This increased connectivity, through a process known as myelination, effectively insulates these neural fibers, allowing signals to transmit faster and more efficiently. It's like upgrading slow dirt roads into high-speed fiber optic cables. Your brain literally becomes more efficient at handling language data. This is not some abstract concept. It's tangible neuroplasticity in action, where learning experiences alter the physical structure and function of your brain. You are, quite literally, rewiring your own gray matter for superior linguistic competence and broader cognitive agility. The profound implications extend beyond just English proficiency. This advanced listening method cultivates a highly transferable set of skills. You're not just learning English, you're honing your ability to dissect complex information, to identify patterns, to infer meaning from context, and to develop a more nuanced understanding of communication itself. This means improved critical thinking. When you actively break down sentences, understand the subtle shades of meaning conveyed by idioms or phrasal verbs, and then reconstruct that understanding, you are engaging in sophisticated analytical processes. This practice empowers you to approach new information in any field with a more discerning and analytical mind. It's about moving beyond surface-level comprehension to truly grapple with the underlying concepts and arguments, making you a more effective learner and thinker across your entire life. I remember my own aha moment when this clicked. For years, I struggled with the traditional advice, just listen, immerse yourself. And while immersion is crucial, simply listening without an anchor often felt like trying to catch water with a sieve. There was constant frustration, a feeling of being perpetually behind. But when I embraced the strategic use of English subtitles and then deliberately followed those 3 steps, it was as if a veil was lifted. The sounds started to make sense. The abstract became concrete. It was no longer a battle of decoding individual sounds. It became an exhilarating process of understanding, of absorbing entire ideas and complex arguments with clarity. My brain shifted from a state of constant struggle to one of active assimilation, where new information wasn't just passing through but being integrated, making permanent connections. This transformative experience is precisely what differentiates this don't turn off the subtitles approach from merely using subtitles. It's not a passive consumption, it's an active, intentional engagement with the language at multiple levels. It acknowledges the inherent complexity of language acquisition, particularly for adults, and provides a structured, brain friendly pathway to mastery. Traditional methods often overlook the critical role of visual support in initial stages, leaving learners to flounder in an auditory void. This method, conversely, leverages every available sensory input to build a rock-solid foundation, ensuring that the transition to subtitle-free listening is not a leap of faith, but a natural, almost inevitable progression. So, when I say, do not turn off the subtitles, it's not a plea for convenience. It's an urgent call to adopt a scientifically informed, effective methodology that will fundamentally upgrade your brain's capacity for language learning and cognitive processing. This isn't just understanding a new movie or podcast. It's about unlocking a richer, more powerful version of your own mind. It's about consciously engaging in a process that will enhance your memory, sharpen your focus, and accelerate your ability to learn anything, not just English. This advanced listening method, far from being a shortcut, is the most direct route to cultivating a sophisticated, adaptable linguistic and cognitive toolkit. It's about consciously engaging in a process that will enhance your memory, sharpen your focus, and accelerate your ability to learn anything, not just English. This advanced listening method, far from being a shortcut, is the most direct route to cultivating a sophisticated, adaptable linguistic and cognitive toolkit. Now, let's peel back the layers of this fascinating claim. For too long, the notion of using subtitles in language learning has been tainted with a sense of inadequacy, a quiet admission that you're not quite there yet. We've been led to believe that the truly proficient listener, the master of English, listens without a visual safety net, purely discerning meaning from the swirling currents of sound. But what if this widely accepted wisdom is not just incomplete, but fundamentally misguided? What if, by actively embracing subtitles, we are unlocking dormant cognitive potential, allowing our brains to forge connections that are otherwise difficult, if not impossible, to establish effectively? Think of your brain as an incredibly powerful, yet sometimes overwhelmed, supercomputer. When you're bombarded with new sounds in a foreign language, especially spoken at native speed, your auditory processing centers are working overtime. They're trying to distinguish individual phonemes, segment words from continuous speech, identify unfamiliar vocabulary, and simultaneously piece together grammatical structures to construct meaning, all in real time. This is an immense cognitive load, often leading to frustration, mental fatigue, and that disheartening feeling of, I just don't get it. This is precisely where subtitles don't just offer support, they initiate a profound cognitive transformation. Subtitles act as a crucial bridge, a synchronized visual anchor that immediately reduces cognitive overload. By seeing the words as you hear them, your brain is no longer solely grappling with abstract sounds. It instantly gains a concrete visual representation. This isn't cheating, it's providing your brain with a multisensory input stream, creating redundant pathways for information processing. Imagine trying to navigate a complex labyrinth blindfolded versus with a map. Subtitles are that map, guiding your auditory system through the intricate landscape of spoken English. This simultaneous input significantly strengthens the neural pathways between the sound of a word and its written form, making recognition faster, more accurate, and ultimately more automatic. You're essentially teaching your brain to instantly cross-reference, building a robust internal dictionary where each entry has both an auditory and a visual signature. Consider the immense benefits this synchronization brings. When you encounter a word you don't know, hearing it alone often leaves you guessing or simply lost. Seeing it, however, even if you don't initially know its meaning, allows your brain to register its precise form. This visual recognition becomes a critical first step. When you then look up the word or infer its meaning from context, your brain isn't just learning a new vocabulary item, it's creating a powerful triple link: the sound, the spelling, and the meaning. This multimodal encoding is scientifically proven to enhance memory retention and recall. You're not just remembering a word, you're remembering an experience of that word, a moment where its sound, sight, and significance coalesced. Furthermore, subtitles are an unparalleled tool for dissecting the nuances of spoken English, especially tricky aspects like connected speech, reductions, and intonation patterns. Native speakers rarely articulate every word distinctly. Sounds blend, vowels reduce, and whole syllables might seem to disappear. Trying to parse this solely by ear is like trying to catch smoke. But with subtitles, you see the individual words clearly laid out. This visual clarity allows your brain to decode the auditory reality. You hear gonna and see going to. You hear wanna and see want to. This direct correlation teaches your brain the natural rhythm and flow of spoken English, revealing how words transform when spoken naturally. It's an invaluable lesson in phonetics and phonology that pure listening often obscures. Your brain begins to build a sophisticated internal model of English sound patterns, understanding not just what is said, but how it's naturally expressed. This leads us to the advanced three-step method I mentioned, a structured approach designed to leverage subtitles for maximum cognitive impact, transforming your learning from passive absorption to active engagement. The key here isn't merely having subtitles on, it's how you use them. The first step, listen broadly with target language subtitles, serves a critical foundational purpose. It's about establishing initial comprehension without overwhelming the system. Here, subtitles reduce the initial anxiety of not understanding, allowing your brain to focus on the overall message, the speaker's tone, and the natural pace of the language. You're building a mental scaffold. Your eyes are guiding your ears, helping them segment speech, pick out keywords, and begin to map familiar sounds to their written forms. This initial pass isn't about deep analysis. It's about gaining confidence, reducing stress, and allowing your brain to absorb the general flow and context. It sets the stage for deeper learning by providing a comfortable entry point into complex material, allowing your brain to warm up to the linguistic environment. This phase is crucial for building familiarity and reducing the intimidation factor often associated with authentic spoken English. Then comes the game-changing second step: deep analysis. Pause, read, understand. This is where the magic truly happens, where passive observation transforms into active cognitive construction. When you encounter a phrase, an idiom, or a grammatical structure that doesn't immediately click, Even with subtitles, you stop. You consciously engage. You read the subtitles closely, perhaps even multiple times. You look up unfamiliar words, not just their dictionary definitions, but their contextual usage, their synonyms, and their implications. You might note down intriguing sentence patterns or powerful turns of phrase. Then, and this is crucial, you rewind. You listen again, perhaps several times, to that specific segment. Now, with the visual and contextual understanding firmly in place, your brain can truly connect the dots. You're not just hearing sounds, you're hearing meaning. You're experiencing the precise way a word is pronounced, how it connects to surrounding words, and the emotional or rhetorical weight it carries. This iterative process of stopping, analyzing, and re-listening imprints the information far more deeply than any passive exposure ever could. It forces your brain into a deliberate, problem-solving mode, strengthening neural connections with every active choice you make to understand. It cultivates an almost surgical precision in your comprehension. Finally, the third step, repeat listening without subtitles for testing and consolidation, serves as the ultimate validation and reinforcement phase. After you've meticulously dissected the content, understood its nuances, and connected the sounds to their written forms, you return to the material. This time, however, the visual crutch is removed, and what you'll find is astonishing. Your brain, having already built robust connections and understood the precise mapping between sound and meaning, will now be able to process the auditory input with significantly greater ease. This isn't a return to guessing. It's a confident comprehension, where the previously challenging sounds now unlock their meaning almost effortlessly. You're no longer reading along, you're truly listening. This step solidifies the learning, transitioning your ability from visually assisted understanding to pure auditory comprehension. It proves to your brain that it can do it, reinforcing the new pathways and building immense confidence. The repeated exposure, combined with the earlier analytical work, ensures that the knowledge is not just temporarily acquired but deeply integrated, becoming an intuitive part of your linguistic toolkit. This systematic process isn't just about learning English words or grammar. It's a powerful exercise in metacognition. It teaches your brain how to learn more effectively. By consciously engaging multiple senses, by deliberately pausing and analyzing, and by iteratively testing your comprehension, you are actively training your brain to be more attentive, more analytical, and more efficient in processing complex information. You are fostering a level of deep attention and cognitive resilience that transcends mere language acquisition, equipping you with a versatile mental framework for mastering any new skill or subject. This isn't just a language hack, it's a cognitive upgrade. This isn't just a language hack, it's a cognitive upgrade. Consider how your brain, a marvel of adaptability, learns anything new. It thrives on connections, on patterns, and on active engagement. When you embark on this journey of simultaneous auditory and visual processing with subtitles, you're not merely translating words. You are forging robust neural pathways. You are training your mind to operate on a higher, more integrated level, demanding a quality of deep attention that transcends the superficial. This isn't passive consumption. It's an intense, focused workout for your most powerful organ. This method actively cultivates what neuroscientists call cognitive flexibility, the brain's ability to switch between different mental tasks or modes of thought efficiently. Think about it. You're hearing, you're reading, you're associating, you're predicting, and you're verifying, all in real time. This constant interplay between your auditory and visual cortices, reinforced by the analytical pause and reflect stage, strengthens the synaptic connections responsible for information processing speed and accuracy. It's akin to cross training for your brain, making it more agile and responsive, not just for deciphering foreign languages, but for any scenario requiring rapid, multifaceted analysis. Your brain becomes a finely tuned instrument, adept at discerning nuance and extracting meaning from complex streams of data, whether verbal or textual. The versatile mental framework this method instills extends far beyond linguistic mastery. Imagine applying this enhanced capacity for deep attention to understanding a complex scientific lecture, an intricate philosophical argument, or a detailed business report. The skill developed through subtitle assisted listening, the ability to synchronize incoming data from multiple sensory channels, to identify gaps in understanding, to pause and meticulously dissect information, and then to resynthesize it for comprehensive retention, is universally applicable. It teaches you how to actively engage with information, to break down intimidating complexity into manageable components, and to rebuild it into coherent understanding. This is the cornerstone of effective learning in any domain, transforming you from a passive recipient into an active constructor of knowledge. Let's consider a practical example. Suppose you're a student trying to grasp advanced concepts in physics. Instead of simply reading a textbook or listening to a lecture, imagine combining these. You might watch a video explanation, not just absorbing the visuals and sound, but simultaneously tracking the on-screen text, pausing to verify definitions, replaying segments where the terminology is dense, and then attempting to re-explain it without the aid of text. This mirrors the subtitle method precisely. It's about training your mind to identify key terms, understand their contextual usage, and build a mental model that integrates diverse information streams. This profound engagement cultivates a deeper level of comprehension, reducing the likelihood of superficial understanding and increasing the retention of complex ideas. The cognitive resilience you develop is particularly noteworthy. Initially, the process of simultaneously listening and reading in a foreign language can feel demanding, even exhausting. Your brain is working overtime to bridge the gap between unfamiliar sounds and their written representations. But this very struggle, this momentary cognitive overload, is where the magic happens. Like a muscle pushed to its limits, your brain adapts and grows stronger. Over time, the effort decreases, and the once strenuous task becomes smoother, more intuitive. You'll notice your brain processing information faster, making quicker connections, and sustaining focus for longer periods. This newfound mental stamina is invaluable in an information-rich world, allowing you to tackle intellectually challenging tasks with greater endurance and less fatigue. This approach effectively bypasses the common pitfalls of passive learning, where information washes over you without truly sinking in. By actively engaging multiple senses and employing analytical breaks, you are forcing your brain to not just hear or see, but to comprehend and integrate. The feedback loop created by listening without subtitles after detailed analysis is critical. It's the ultimate self-assessment, revealing what connections have solidified and what areas still require attention. This iterative process of engagement, analysis, and self testing optimizes learning, making it a highly efficient and deeply rewarding experience. You're building a mental scaffolding that supports increasingly complex structures of knowledge. Ultimately, this advanced listening method transforms your brain's fundamental operating system. It strengthens memory recall by associating information with multiple sensory cues, enhancing both short term retention and long term consolidation. It improves your ability to filter out distractions and focus on salient details, a skill crucial for navigating overwhelming information landscapes. Moreover, by consistently pushing your cognitive boundaries, you foster a growth mindset, reinforcing the belief that your intellectual capacities are not fixed but continuously expandable. This isn't just about mastering English. It's about unlocking a profound, lasting improvement in your overall learning efficiency and cognitive prowess, truly an investment in your brain's future potential.